people, welcome back to Gangster of the Constitution on the BGN Network. We're on the air 24/7 on YouTube. Just type in Gangster of the Constitution. You can even go to the BGN site and all of his shows are there and you will see the Gangster of the Constitution. Well, everybody who's been tuning in, I have a few people who subscribe. You know what my motto and my agenda is: to bring you the truth, whether you like it or not, and to entertain you with the truth. This is what we try to do here, and we have quite a few subjects today that we're going to discuss as usual. This show is not a one-horse action. Everybody gets it. It doesn't matter if you're black or white or Muslim, Arab, I don't care. If you're in the news, I'm going to say something. So you better try to make sure it's good. Now, what we're going to do today, hon, we're going to look at something that's in the Constitution. It's another one of the ways they're trying to get rid of Trump. They'll try anything. They're trying to create some sort of poll tax in California, but technically it's illegal and unlawful and unconstitutional. Under Amendment 24, it says that United States or any states cannot use any sort of tax reason, a poll tax or any other tax to prevent people from running from especially federal offices like the president and Congress and all of that. They're not allowed to do it. But the California Senate has done it. They've told all the candidates that they have to show 5 years of tax returns in order to be on the California ballot. Well, they can't do it. Oh, they can do it physically, but it can and probably will be challenged. Now, it hasn't been signed by the governor yet, but here's what happens. The minute that Governor Gary Newsom signed that tax into existence under SB 27, when you go to Amendment 14, Section 2, it says that if you prevent any person, any American citizen, from voting for a president or a vice president, judge, anything, that you will lose your House seats. What happens if you've done that? Then the number of representatives that you have in the House of Representatives will be reduced by the number of male inhabitants in your state. If that male inhabitant is a citizen, you're going to lose those seats. Do you know how many millions of male inhabitants are in California? They wouldn't have any seats in the House. So I have gave them a fair warning not to sign that bill, because all of the Democrats people are mostly foreigners from California. They already got some trouble about them being foreign in the first place. So if they go ahead and fix it to where people can't get on the ballot in their state because of tax returns, that's when they automatically lose seats. So in other words, if they got 40 seats in the House, they'll probably lose about 33 of them. Something like that, or could be more. So we're going to watch this clip now about the poll tax and see what the people were saying about it. Even the guy from Canada, he came up and told you that they would have to amend the Constitution in order to do that. So let's watch this clip.
This is a citizen lobby group on approach to Democrat Freddie Rodriguez Assemblyman's office. We want a no vote on SB 27 that would take Donald Trump off of the California primary ballot. So we have constituents here. We'd like to just address this specific bill that's now on the Assembly side, headed for the Election and Redistricting Committee, June 19th. And it's SB 27, and we do oppose it. It's the bill that would keep President Trump off of the primary ballot because he did not turn in his tax returns. So we'd just like to start first with your constituent, John Willis, and he has a letter to present to you.
Okay, sounds good.
I just have this letter, but I'd also like to challenge Freddie to put forth his tax records. And also, I don't believe him to be the brains of this operation. Everyone in his staff seems to be far smarter than he is. I believe maybe the staff, who's ever the brains behind this operation, should present their tax documents also. And, I mean, it's only fair, but it seems petulant and childish to go against the will of the people. I mean, we should let the arena of free thought and ideas and votes establish who our leaders are, not this childlike display. I mean, I don't even know what this is about. I mean, I understand that whacked out leftists might want to do something like this, but Freddie should act like an adult and just stand up and say no.
Okay. And then Mike, who has lived in this district,
Yeah,
wanted to
lived
say
here
a
for
word.
36 years, and I would like to underscore what John said about maybe Freddie should show his taxes too, and everybody in the assembly should show their taxes. I mean, if they're going to demand the president, then why don't they do the same damn thing? And then also, it seems to me to be pulling the president's name off of the ballot. His ballot is you're gerrymandering the voting process, which is not your job. It's not the California Latinos Legislators Caucus job. It's not the governor's job to do any of that. So they're way far out of their lane on that. And what else was I going to say? You know, because our president, right now we have the lowest unemployment rate in the history of the United States, and it's because of the Trump administration. And so I think we should show him respect for doing such a good job.
Thank you.
He's done more than the previous 4 presidents combined in the last 2.5 years. He deserves our respect. He deserves Sacramento's respect. And yeah, I guess that's it.
And then Vaughn, he represents his relatives here in Ontario. He doesn't live in
Good
Ontario.
Well, there's a couple of reasons why I'm against this SB 27. Article 2 of the Constitution provides the criteria for presidential candidates. It will take a constitutional amendment to modify that criteria on a federal level. And if Congress wants to change the threshold criteria for presidential candidates, it will likely have it would take a constitutional amendment to Article 2, which would turn and require ratification by at least 3/4, that's 38 states. Congress does not have the unilateral authority to add to Article 2 and impose a kind of mandated criteria on the presidential candidates. Okay.
No. And then Sherry, who's here with her cute little dog.
Hi, I'm over in Chino Hills. I've seen Freddie around quite a long time. He should know better than this. He's got common sense, and I think he's just caught up with the ruckus in Sacramento. We don't need somebody trying to put down our president. He's everybody's president, and we need him to be assertive and say that, you know, and actually the Section 2 that he was talking about, that's real. And I don't know how they could get around that. So that's it for me, no, on SB 27.
And Raul?
As you can see, my sign says America First. And it's important that if you're an elected official, you have a responsibility to uphold your duty.
Yeah.
As a elected official, your number one responsibility is to do your job of representing American citizens. And President Trump happens to be an American citizen. He is our president 4.5 million people voted for President Trump in California. So by him and others who are trying to prevent him from being on the ballot, it's unconstitutional, for one thing. As a matter of fact, I ran for Secretary of State, and I understand that Alex Padilla is supporting this bill, which is wrong because he is supposed to be neutral. He shouldn't be basically telling the people that he supports, not allowing our president to be on the ballot, which is really wrong and it's unconstitutional. So I'd like to Mr. Rodriguez to make it a point to tell him that he needs to do his job of being an elected official and representing every American, especially our president. Whether he is not in agreement politically, he still has a responsibility to allow President Trump to be on the ballot. So we're asking him to remove this bill, vote no on it, because it's important, because we the people have the power of the vote. We can vote him in and we can vote him out, or we can even do a recall. So it's important that they consider many options that we have to remove elected officials from office, especially when they don't do their job of representing American citizens and our president. So please tell Freddie that it's important that he does the right thing of upholding his oath of office. Okay? Thank you.
Right. Now you heard that. Even the Canadian told you they can't do it without amending the Constitution. It would take quite a few amendments to do that. And we need to talk too about how people are trying to use the Constitution to say that everybody gets birthrights. Well, I've told you this before. That's one of my talking points for today. You can't get birthrights if your parent wasn't constitutionally naturalized. You automatically have birthrights if your mom and dad were automatically citizens. So groups like the Cato Institute, they're still trying to push that forward, about this issue. But they have some opposition. This time I got somebody helping me, David Steinberg and Mr. Wellston. They told the Cato group, you got to look at Article 1, Section 9 that says states are in charge of immigrants, not the United States, as they're trying to tell you that since the United States is in charge of immigrants, they automatically get birthrights. So at least I had some backup this time. I love it when I have backups on what I'm saying. And then another talking point today is going to be abortion and the Constitution. Get ready for this. If you're not emotionally stable about abortion, you're not ready. So if you're not emotionally stable about abortion, don't listen to this. Here's what it says in the Constitution. Amendment 14. Everybody has a due process to equal protection and all of these things pertaining to that person. Now, we have just found out for sure when life starts. Now, you old people, and a lot of you young people too. Oh, you're always saying, well, nobody knows when life starts, so you can do abortion, you can do what you want to do. Now we know it has been scientifically and medically proven, and about 8 states have adopted this. The doctors and the medical and the science people say life starts at the heartbeat. So if the child, the fetus baby inside the woman has a heartbeat at just 4 weeks, that's a person. Under the Constitution, that person has a due process. Their due process is different from yours. Their due process says they are guaranteed the right to reside in the mom's womb, usually from 5 to 9 months, and the mom cannot remove that life from the womb before that time. Now, the situation is the mom invited this fetus when she had something to do with Bobby and them, or whoever it was. When she got with them, she directly knows that when she gets with Bobby and his friends or whoever else it is, that they bring the little sperm that are definitely going to try to get up in there and get into an egg to fertilize it. Sometimes more than one egg gets fertilized. So you just invited Bobby and whoever it is to fertilize your egg. If you didn't use any protection, you invited that person in. It's the same way as you invite someone over your house. You can't shoot them and throw them out if they don't leave when you want to. You can't. You can do it like that, but you usually get life in prison or the electric chair or something. So you can't do it that way. The same thing goes for the fetus baby. And here's how it's going to work. This is going to become the law. When the doctors know that a life is prevalent, it's going to be reported. Because we're going to have new agencies. This is going to bring up a whole new area of work. Every time a baby is known to be conceived, it goes to the right department. And if that baby, it looks like that fetus is going to have trouble, if it's not loved, then that fetus will be appointed a guardian ad litem. That means the mama can't do nothing to that baby. And if the mama do something to that baby, then the guardian ad litem gets a court-appointed attorney and they carry her to court. If she's aborted that baby, she can be tried for an execution. Because that's what it is. When you do an abortion, it's an execution. You are not going to be allowed to execute babies. They're going to have their little guardian ad litem and their little attorneys, and you can't make a unilateral decision to end their lives, and the father can't either. You can't get with the father and y'all make some bilateral decision. Well, I don't think we're going to like this one here, so we're just going to execute it. No, no, no. You find yourself, you're going to be behind bars, because we have proved that the Constitution gives that fetus a life. It's already alive. It's got a heartbeat, okay? Come out of this primitive savage stuff. No more executions. So that's what I got to say to you about inviting Bobby and whoever it is to drop a person into your womb. That's what they're doing. You're not going to be able to do that and get away with it. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to run a clip to show you what happened. I believe it was in California. Some abortion people, they were walking around with white pants on, and the crotch of the pants down to the legs was bloody. They did that with red paint, and they were ran off the scene. The guy who was doing it for the Right to Life people, he chased them into a store, and they went in there and bought some other pants and took that mess off. So watch this clip about the abortion rights people, how they put down these baby executioners.
Fight for the right to life out here, man. These children matter, kids matter, lives matter. Planned Parenthood is the leading cause of black deaths, and that's what you support. You support the murder of innocent lives. Excuse me, miss. What are you guys doing out here today? Ma'am? What are you guys representing out here today? You have any comments? What are you guys doing out here today? Do you not agree with abortion as it being murder? Are you guys for equality? What about the baby? Doesn't it have rights? Isn't it a life? You guys support Margaret Sanger? Abortion is murder. Planned Parenthood is the leading cause of death in the black community. And that is a fact. And that is a fact. Abortion is murder. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about Planned Parenthood designed to eliminate and eradicate the Jews and the blacks? Abortion is murder. Life is life. Margaret Sanger created Planned Parenthood to eradicate the Jews and the blacks, and you support that. Look at their clothes, man. Look at their clothes. Join us. Blood all over them. Look at that. Ridiculous. Alabama got it right. We need to push for it in California. If you're okay with killing babies, then keep pushing your agenda. But what you should be pushing is people not to get pregnant. You should be pushing for young ladies not to get pregnant so they don't have to have abortions. Why don't you teach them that? Teach them the right way. Abortion is murder. Abortion is murder. Abortion is murder. Abortion is murder. Do not get pregnant. Until you're ready for motherhood, do not get pregnant. When are you gonna stand up for the baby lives? Excuse me, my brother. When are you gonna stand up for the babies? When do the babies have a say? Huh? When do the babies have a say? What are you running? Why are you hiding? Why are you guys hiding? You ashamed that you kill babies? Are you ashamed that you murder babies? Leave them alone. Why don't you leave the kids alone? How about you leave the babies alone? Don't murder the babies. How about not getting pregnant so you don't have to have abortions? How about that?
Free speech, brother. Free speech.
All day. So here we are. I guarantee you they went out the other exit. Let's go find out. Oh, I found them. There they go. I found them. Abortion is murder. Abortion is murder. Abortion is murder. Life is life. Why do you support Planned Parenthood that was created to eradicate the blacks and the Jews? Why? You support Margaret Sanger. You stand with Planned Parenthood. That is the leading cause of death in the black community is abortion. Why do you support that? Here they go into another store. They want to protest abortion. They want to protest for killing babies, right? Not today, not on my watch. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen, still out here waiting for them to come out, protest abortion, and we're trying to shut them down. They're out here, they ran again to another store. There they are, they're hiding out inside the store. You support Planned Parenthood that was created to exterminate the Jews and the blacks, and you support that. Planned Parenthood is the leading cause of death in the black communities, and you support it. Baby lives matter. Baby lives matter. Abortion is murder. Abortion is murder. Abortion is murder. You're for the extermination of the Jews and the blacks, supporting Planned Parenthood. You guys are unknowledgeable. You have no idea what you stand for. You wear clothes that had blood on them. Walk around with white clothes to symbolize the ripping apart of babies in the womb. You are evil, demented people. Bunch of baby murderers, you cowards. You all ran from your own protest because I came to speak truth. You take innocent lives out of the womb. Yeah, take a picture, long picture, because y'all are going up too, baby. You support Planned Parenthood that was created to exterminate the Jews and the blacks, and that's what you support. You're for women's rights? Planned Parenthood is the leading cause of black deaths, and that's what you support. You support the murder of innocent lives. Sick people.
Wasn't that terrible? They wasn't even ashamed about having blood between their legs, pretending. It was just so savage and so barbarian. So I hope you understand this, and I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, but I'm going to try to make this the law, okay? Now, let's go to something else. Let's go to Rashida Tlaib. Now, you guys have heard me tell you about her before. She's one of the Muslim women that came in saying they're going to beat up every American, it's going to run through America and just witch whip everybody. And they talked about all religions, the Christians, they talked about especially the Israelites, and anybody who want to do a religion different from theirs, they say we're going to jihad you. Well, I've already told you, the Constitution don't allow you to do that. We're all allowed to have a religion of our choice. But they're here, and the Democrats are letting them get away with all this stuff. Keep in mind now, the Democrats flipped the House, and we thought they was going to come up with something good. What did they do? They said we're going to have every American destroyed. We're going to turn this into a Sharia country. That's what the Democrats have done. And so I've got a video clip here about Rashida Tlaib. She's at the House committee trying to destroy the white people, talking about, we should do away with white supremacy. You know, she thinks it's the white people who are after her. She's saying that some of the calls she gets are death threats, and they're saying that the only good Muslim is a dead Muslim. Yeah, but that's not just the white people. That's the Muslims too. Remember the Saudis, the Saudi Arabian kings, and the UAE, that video clip where they sent here to this station, they say they got a media war on her. They don't know who is on that phone. But of course they blame the white people as usual. But I can tell you, it's not just the white people, and there are a lot of black people who are mad about this stuff too, because they told off the black pastors, her and Omar, they've been telling off everybody. So you get what you send out. See, they sent out all this mess, and that's why they're getting it back. But don't blame just the white people. I mean, anybody, you can't just run up on people and cuss them out by the millions, and somebody gonna come back and tell you a story or two. And I told them that that was gonna happen. And then Rashida, she's trying to say something that patriots only defend the Constitution, but she don't know what she's talking about. When the patriots try to defend the Constitution, it means they want her to leave, because the Muslims and the Mexicans and all of those people, they're not in the Constitution to be here by the United States government or the United Nations that took over the United States government. That's why she's getting all these phone calls saying the only good Muslim is a dead Muslim. So watch this clip. It's clip number 3 of the Gangster of the Constitution today. Watch Rashida crying.
I loved how you said any violence is a threat to society, right? Any form of violence, and I appreciate that. But there's not enough right now to give you all power. So I want to give you an example. So I've been in office for about 6 months. And when you get something like this, attention Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and ragheads Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, I was totally excited and pleased when I heard about 49 Muslims were killed and many... Many more were wounded in New Zealand. This is a great start. Let's hope and pray that it continues here in the good old USA. The only good Muslim is a dead one. How is that enough? Not enough to fall under domestic terrorism if they're targeting solely based on my faith and others and saying that a good Muslim is a dead one, obviously directed to me. By the way, they copied in this threat to my office, they copied the U.S. Department of Justice, the President, Department of Homeland Security, and so forth. And we get so many of them, and I keep asking, what happens? What happens to these individuals? Are they... You know, I'm being sincere. I'm not trying to, I'm really sincere. I'm a mother, so I want to go home to my 2 boys.
So first, my empathy. I'm in charge of domestic terrorism and international terrorism. I don't differentiate either when the threat comes in, nor does the FBI. We work on both the same.
And I appreciate that, and I hear that throughout your testimony. It's very consistent, Mr. McGarity, but how come we don't have enough tools right now to pull these people up in, because this is a format, and you can see there's a pattern.
Well, there's 2 parts to that. So I can tell you, the FBI, the Joint Terrorism Task Force, we are working hard, as was said earlier. We are working hard. If there's another statute that you think is needed, come talk to the Department of Justice. Absolutely. I mean, I think they've said that during the last testimony back in May.
Love you, and you win. And when your son looks at you and says, Mama, look, you won, bullies don't win. And I said, baby, they don't, because we're going to go in there and we're going to impeach the motherfucker.
Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib of Michigan, who sits on the House Oversight Committee. What did you make of Mueller today, Congresswoman?
Well, I think from the beginning, the Mueller report is a impeachment referral to the United States Congress. It's very clear that he is asking the United States Congress to take up their responsibility to now hold an impeachment inquiry into these offenses. I think it's very clear that for many American people that I've spoken to, they don't want a lawless, king-like president to continue to not be held accountable to the United States Constitution and so many things that are so interconnected to the work that we're trying to do on their behalf.
The downside, well, first of all, let me ask you about Speaker Pelosi, who was speaking. She was speaking at the Commonwealth Club out in San Francisco, her hometown, and she said only about 38 Democrats in the House, her caucus, are for acting on impeachment, and 200 are not. How do you see the numbers?
Well, for me, I've always looked at the numbers of the turnout that we saw in the last election that gave us one of the largest, most diverse class to the United States Congress. If you see us taking on the majority, it's because more people like myself and others that really want to hold this president accountable came out to vote. To me, it was a referendum. If you look at the numbers across this nation, it was very clear that many people came out because they wanted to elect a jury that would impeach this president, but also to always uphold the United States Constitution. It was very clear because people like me, regular folks that are not your polished politicians, that don't look at polling, that don't look at these political strategies from this other lens, but they're looking at what is the best interest of the American people. We're regular folks that are now leading this fight to say that we have to accountable. And you know, Chris, it's very important for people to know we cannot separate the fact that we're out there fighting to lower prescription drugs, that we're fighting to deal with the crisis at the border. And we can't sit there and separate that from the fact that the president, the most important position in this country, is not upholding the United States Constitution, thus impacting and directly impacting, endangering this institution and the American people. It is our job and our duty and responsibility. Just like the Watergate class, when they came in, they didn't run away from their responsibility and their duty. They may not have run or campaigned on impeaching the president, but at the end, they did what was right for the country, and they put the country's the people first before they chose any kind of political stance when it comes to all of the different pundits that are out there saying it's not time. It is definitely time. The evidence is overwhelming, but also the American people are hurting every single day that we don't act.
10 million. This is incredible because this is how movements start. You know, people think that it's about me introducing a bill or me introducing a resolution to look at the impeachable offenses of this president. No. Movements like this, movements around civil rights, movements around women's rights started in the streets, in neighborhoods, in communities where we demanded the United States Congress, the President of the United States, demanded action, demanded change. And that's when we saw things like the Civil Rights Act being passed. That's when we saw finally women having the right to vote. This is because of movements like this, the grassroots movement. And I always tell people, this is your house, you tell us what to do. And this is us telling this house what to do. Yeah. And I want to thank Move On members across the country who are demanding to take action to hold this president accountable. We cannot set a precedent, and I constantly say this, and allow the rule of law to be eroded, to allow our democracy to be continued to be corrupted by this president.
There's a kind of a calming feeling, I always tell folks, when I think of the Holocaust and the tragedy of the Holocaust and the fact that it was my ancestors, Palestinians, who lost their land and some lost their lives, their livelihood, the human dignity, their existence in many ways have been wiped out on some people's passport. I mean, just all of it was in the name of trying to create a safe haven for Jews.
Those comments from Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib have set off a wave of backlash tonight. President tweeting this: Democrat Representative Tlaib is being slammed for her horrible and highly insensitive statement on the Holocaust. She obviously has tremendous hatred for Israel and the Jewish people, he writes. Can you imagine what would happen if I ever said what she said and says? Here now, Ben Shapiro, editor-in-chief of DailyWire.com. Ben, good to see you. Thanks for coming back. I guess, first of all, your reaction to what Tlaib said, the initial comment that got everybody's attention.
So there's the stuff that she said that's anti-Semitic, and then there's the stuff that she said that is not anti-Semitic. The stuff that she said that's not anti-Semitic is the stuff where she actually laments the Holocaust, and so people are getting that wrong.
Right.
The stuff that she said that is actually anti-Semitic is the part where she talks about effectively Israel being created post-Holocaust as a sop to the Jews, that is historically inaccurate and wipes away the entire Jewish history of the land, which is 3,000 years old. The Balfour Declaration, signed in 1917, already started establishing a Jewish Israel. And then she creates this utterly fictional account where Palestinian Arabs were welcoming Jews into the British Palestine. That, of course, is not only untrue, it is the precise reverse of history. The leader of the Palestinian Arabs at the time, the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, Haj Amin al-Husseini, he was an ally of Hitler. He was calling for the final solution to be implemented in the Middle East. He was stumping for genocide against the Jews throughout his entire career. Palestinian Arab resistance to Jews living in British Palestine ended with the British actually refusing Jewish refugees from Europe in the midst of the Holocaust. So she is rewriting history to anti-Semitic effect here.
I mean, why, I guess is my question. You know, I mean, do you think that she doesn't understand the history of it, or she chooses to see it differently? I mean, you can't really get into her head, but, you know, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I think that she perfectly well understands the actual history here, but the revisionist history serves an anti-Semitic goal, which is that Israel is illegitimate and ought to be abolished. She's a supporter of the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement. She suggested that if you are a supporter of Israel, you are guilty of dual loyalty in the past. I mean, she, along with Ilhan Omar, is part of an anti-Semitic contingent of the Democratic Party, now being protected by the Democratic leadership.
She claims that she's being attacked unfairly, and that, as you point out, she did go on to talk about the horrors of the Holocaust, the tragedy and the horrific persecution of Jews across the world at that time. But then she goes on to talk about a one-state solution, and she basically says this, we could put it up on the screen. She said it has to be done in a way that values around equality and around the fact that you shouldn't oppress others so that you can feel free and safe. Why can't we all be free and safe together, Palestinians and Jews in Jerusalem and in Israel?
Fascinating that she's involved in the push for getting rid of the only Jewish state on planet Earth. I've heard no calls from her for the Palestinian Authority to allow Jews to live within its precincts. No calls from her for any Muslim state to change its religious orientation. No calls from her whatsoever for human rights in many of the Muslim countries that she defends. So it's pretty fascinating to watch her call for a one-state solution that effectively means the end of the state of Israel, which she knows, which is why she's pushing for it.
It's interesting because, you know, when she talks about it, she also said that she's looking for a better way where I don't want people to do it in the name of Judaism, just like I don't want people to use Islam in that way. Do you see that comment as anti-Semitic then?
I'm not even sure what that comment refers to.
It sounds like she doesn't want it to be about religion. She wants it to be a state that is not based in religion, where both Palestinians and Jews live in one state.
Very odd that she doesn't seem to care about the 50-odd Muslim states that exist on planet Earth if she's so interested in the separation of church and state and disestablishment of any official religion. By the way, Israel is the only country in the Middle East where Muslims actually have full civil rights.
Hey, people. Didn't I tell you? And did you hear what she said? I'm a mother and I want to go home to my 2 boys. Well, if you feel like that now, why did you cuss out our president or anybody else talking about we're going to impeach the MF right in front of your children? She knows she's a Muslim, and where they come from, those women are not allowed to speak at all. They get the whippings, or they get the beheadings, the shooting, or the stoning. And you've seen this before on Gangster of the Constitution. You've seen them stone women. You've seen them shoot women. We don't have one about the beheading, but we got all the other ones. And you've seen the one about how they whip women who open their mouth. So she should have pretended that she was where she came from and kept her mouth shut. But all of them, Omar, Talib, and Linda Sarsour, they're over here in America, and where you can't get hurt from running your mouth. And guess who they aim it at? The white people, the very ones who saved them from that. So she get anything that she deserved. I don't feel sorry for her for 1 minute. And she was the one, she put her entire family in danger messing with them Saudis and them Muslims from overseas. Should she go home, the whole family might be gone. But she did that. So she can't blame the white people and the blacks and the religion and the Jewish people. She can't blame none of those people because it was her big mouth that started, her and Ilhan Omar. So let's move on to something else here that I want to talk to you about today. While we're running our mouth here, let's talk about the way that we have a new form of slavery. It's called tax slavery. What it is, we're not supposed to give money to the United States to any foreigner, but they've been doing that now for about 55 years. They owe us over $10 trillion. See, every time they take the tax dollars from the American citizens and give it to foreigners, they make you a slave. And it's at the point now where we're 20 trillion or more into slavery, tax slavery. Remember I told you I already won a $10 trillion claim for the American citizens? They're not allowed to do these things. So I just want to keep you up on that and keep reminding you that the United States owes you a tax dividend. Well, let's move on now to something else about the Muslims again. Not only are we tax slaves, they just flat out steal all of our money. You've heard me say this before when I lived in Florida. The Florida U.S. Attorney, Will Ferrer, says that the foreigners have found myriads of ways to fleece the American governmental entitlement programs of billions. Now I've got it counted into the trillions. You're going to watch a clip now, so I won't have to talk about it. You're going to listen to an FBI report. 412 Muslims were arrested for fraud, Medicare fraud, by the billions, each one of them. So not only are we tax slaves, they're already enslaved us with paying them money and giving all these educational skills. Then they turn around and take the skill and they rob us. So watch this clip further to show you how American citizens are not only tax slaves, but they flat out just steal the rest. Watch this clip.
Welcome to Headline News 24/7. Please click like and subscribe. 412 Michigan Muslims arrested in Fed's largest bust in U.S. history after uncovering deadly hidden secret. The state of Michigan is quickly turning into a swamp, thanks to the reckless immigration policies of Obama over his 8 years. Not only are portions of Michigan being transformed into a mini Baghdad, but the state is also being overrun with rampant illegal activity, where the Muslim populace is constantly being busted in welfare fraud and disgusting mutilation practices on little girls. Now, thanks to the hordes of Muslims taking over the state, Michigan can add another accomplishment on their list, as the Justice Department is dubbing what just went down in this state the largest scam in United States history. These immigrants continually prove that they have little intentions into assimilating into Western civilization or adhering to our nation's laws after arriving to America from their third world countries. Our generosity to these savages is frequently repaid by insolence, as many are constantly busted at the center of welfare fraud rings, as they seek to scam the very country who has given them so much. In yet another case of blatant disregard for our nation's laws, a group of Middle Eastern doctors in Detroit have just been busted as the masterminds behind a $1.3 billion fraudulent scheme, leading to the arrests of 412 people overnight, in the largest scam that the United States Department of Justice has ever seen. The scam involves a scheme where Muslim doctors will write massive quantities of prescriptions for opioids. These drugs never land in the hands of patients, however, as the Muslims will then make fraudulent claims to Medicaid and pocket the money. Additionally, the drugs often wind up on the streets as part of a huge back-alley drug operation. The U.S. Justice Department is calling this prescription drug and healthcare fraud scheme the largest operation of its kind in American history, naming several Michigan doctors responsible for orchestrating this huge criminal enterprise to rip off Medicare. ClickInDetroit.com has more. Officials have made 412 arrests nationwide, including 56 doctors and targeting 200 clinics. The Justice Department said those arrested are responsible for $1.3 billion in fraudulent transactions. Federal officials said a group of Michigan doctors was responsible for a major chunk of the scheme. One of the clinics hit in the sting operations is in Farmington. Federal officials said the opioid epidemic is part of it, but the medical office and a number of others were set up specifically as a criminal enterprise to rip off Medicare. Federal officers raided the Fisher Building Wednesday, and U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions said their work accounted for 10% of the scam's value. 6 doctors in Michigan prescribed patients with unnecessary opioids, some of which ended up for sale on the streets, Sessions said. A physician group called Global Quality used to operate out of a Woodward Avenue office building. The ringleader of the massive Medicare scam is Muslim Mashiat Rashid, who profited with an astounding $164 million from the fraud. He had no qualms about rubbing the American taxpayers' noses in what he stole from them, frequently bragging about his large piles of cash on social media. Here's an image he posted on Facebook where he poses beside his Bentley sedan and corporate jet, all bought and paid for with the Medicare money he scammed from the American taxpayer. Other nauseating pictures show Rashid standing at the NBA Finals with his courtside tickets, enjoying a life of opulence he enjoyed while screwing over the American people. Rashid's name is included in court documents as feds prepare their case for trial, where Muslim doctors Joseph Petro, Spelios Pappas, Abdul Haq, Taraz Omar and Mohammed Zahar were busted working directly with Rashid in recent years to make their millions. More than 400 others across the country were charged late last week for taking part in the healthcare scam in connection with a raid last week at the Fisher Building in Detroit. Other Muslim defendants include Mashiat Rashid, of Oakland County, controlled, owned or operated Global Quality, Aquatherapy, Tri-County Physicians, Tri-State Physicians, New Center Medical, National Laboratories, and Tri-County Wellness. Yasser Mozeb, of Oakland County, allegedly received payments from Global Quality and Tri-County Wellness. Abdul Haq, of Washtenaw County, physician enrolled as a participating provider with Medicare for Aquatherapy, Tri-County Physicians and Tri-State Physicians. Joseph Petro, of Oakland County, physician enrolled as a participating provider with Medicare for Tri-County Physicians and New Center Medical. Taraz Omar, of Oakland County, physician enrolled as a participating provider with Medicare for Tri-County Physicians. Mohammed Zahar, of Oakland County, physician enrolled as a participating provider with Medicare for Tri-County Physicians. Trump's Justice Department isn't messing around, as the defendants are being brought up on a plethora of federal charges, including 5 counts of healthcare fraud and healthcare fraud conspiracy. Rashid has additionally been charged with conspiracy to defraud the United States and money laundering, receipt of kickbacks in connection with a federal healthcare program, and payment of kickbacks in connection with federal healthcare program. In all, investigators say that Rashid's companies fraudulently billed Medicare $126 million, with a total of $1.3 billion in similar scams across the country. We must continue to sound the alarm about what's going right underneath our noses.
That was the news. We thought you might be interested in knowing about this. Please click like and subscribe. Thank you.
Hey people, you see that? You see that? This is what's going on in our country. And the Democrats took over. When they took over the House, they continued that that's going to continue. Remember, Jeff Sessions, he's the one that set up all these programs to start busting them. You remember when he busted 612 in one day, and we found out that they're stealing money, maybe 5 to 10 million a day, and that 80% of them are all foreigners. Remember that? So when you see all these things happening, when you see the Democrats come up in your face, you better start remembering they're trying to put you under Sharia law, where all the women go have to wear hijabs, and you can get beat up for opening your mouth and maybe stoned right here in America. But not all Muslims are like that. We're going to watch a clip now from Memory TV. Those are the Muslims who are opposed to everything that's being done in the United States by these Western Muslims. This man, he's known as the honest Muslim, and he tells you that they are unworthy. He says worse, I know if many of you saw Professor Quaytar, he told you the same thing, that they're useless and that they don't measure up to the Jewish people, because the Jewish people actually get out and be innovative and they do things. And he told you that the Muslims are just the same as an ox carrying a water thing around and winding it up in the same place. This is what the real Muslims are saying. And you heard the real imam from Australia tell you that this is not a lie as they tell you. It's all a lie. So here's what you need to listen to now. Listen to another honest Muslim.
الإرهاب أو الحادث الإرهابي اللي حصل للأسف الشديد هو حادث دعس. يعني زي ما حضراتكم خدتوا بالكم المرة دي كان بالقرب من مسجد، لو حضراتكم تابعتم الأخبار، بالقرب من مسجد. يعني ازاي في حد يقرر ان هو يقوم بعمل ارهابي بالقرب من بيت من بيوت الله، مسجد، كنيسة، معبد يعبد فيه الله ويرفع فيه اسمه. كل الحوادث السابقة الخاصة بالدعس او الدهس هتلاقيها ان للأسف الشديد على الاقل في عام 2017 وعام 2016 هذه الحوادث للأسف ابطالها مسلمين. وبعدين انت بتقعد ترجع تفكر في انه هم بيكرهونا ليه؟ او لو ما كرهوناش يبقى في عندهم حاجه عقليه. ناس طول الوقت قاعده بترفع السلاح، طول الوقت قاعده بتذبح الناس، طول الوقت بتسلخ الناس، طول الوقت بتحرق الناس، طول الوقت بتدهس الناس، طول الوقت عماله تحط في عبوات ناسفه وتفخخ سيارات الى اخره، وعايزهم يحبوك ليه؟ قول لي ايه اللي قدمه المسلمين للعالم في القرن العشرين بالكامل؟ بلاش، قول لي ايه اللي قدموه المسلمين الاتراك فيما اطلق عليه الدولة العثمانية للغرب؟ ذبح، مذابح، خزوقة اذا صح التعبير، وبالتعبير او بالاستخدام الحرفي خزوقوا الاوروبيين على اسنة الرماح. ده حقيقي، ده اللي جرى، ده اللي عملوه الاتراك في اوروبا في القرن ال16 والقرن ال17. ده اللي عملوه. عملوا ايه المسلمين الاتراك تجاه جيرانهم في المنطقة العربية اللي غالبيتها مسلمين بشكل او باخر؟ استعبدوهم ونكلوا بيهم ووضعوا عليهم الضرائب المبالغ فيها وحطوا، يعني عرفوهم في عيشتهم. طيب المسلمين في القرن العشرين قدموا ايه للغرب غير نظريات، او 19 وعشرين، غير نظريات ابو الاعلى المودودي وسيد قطب وابو بكر ناجي واسامة بن لادن ومش ايه اللي قدموه المسلمين للغرب؟ قول لي كده ايه اللي قدموه. مش تقول لي وقدموا ادب نجيب محفوظ وقدموا علم احمد زويل. هؤلاء الناس ما بيحسبوش في هذه الحاله على ان هم مسلمين ولا حاجه، هم بيحسبوا في النهايه خالص. قول لي شافوا ايه من المسلمين غير ان هم بيفخخوا مدن وعواصم؟ قول لي شافوا ايه من المسلمين غير هم بيدهسوا الناس؟ شافوا ايه من المسلمين غير بيطلقوا عليهم النيران؟ شافوا ايه من المسلمين غير ان هم بيحرقوهم داخل الاقفاص؟ وبيحرق مسلم زيه برضه يعني، ويحتكر الإسلام في شخصه وفي نفسه، وبالكتير يحتكر لجماعته. شافوا منهم إيه؟ عشان يحبوهم، عشان يستقبلوهم في بلادهم، وتقول لي يا ترى هم بيكرهونا ليه؟ وبعدين تبدأ تبتكر مصطلحات إنها المؤامرة الدولية على الإسلام. يا راجل، المؤامرة الدولية على الإسلام ده معناها أن المسلمين يذبحون في شتى أرجاء الأرض، في حين أن العكس صحيح. كل من هو غير مسلم هو ده اللي بيذبح. صح ولا أنا غلطان؟ يعني انت هتيجي تقول لي وهل نظرت الى الاقليه المسلمه في الهند والاقليه المسلمه في مالي؟ الحقيقه انا لقيت ان المسلمين بيقترفوا مذابح ضد الاغلبيات المسيحيه او غير المسيحيه في شتى ارجاء المعموره. فهتلاقي انه المسلمين طول الوقت يتباكون ويولولون ويلطمون الخدود. الحقوا يا جماعه، الغرب بيتآمر علينا. ماشي، حاضر، افترض يا سيدي ان الغرب متآمر عليك ومستقصد انه دايما يطلع الصوره الوحشه. فين الصوره الكويسه؟ يعني مسلمي الدوله العباسيه صدروا صوره جيده، صدروا البحث العلمي عن طريق ما يطلق عليه العلماء المسلمين. اللي بالمناسبة أغلبهم ما كانوش من شبه الجزيرة مثلا يعني، أو قل كلهم ما كانوش من شبه الجزيرة، كلهم من الدول أو المناطق التي أطلق عليها لقب الأمصار، يعني شمال إفريقيا وما يطلق عليه مؤخرا الجمهوريات الإسلامية التي كانت تابعة للاتحاد السوفيتي، مناطق وسط آسيا. الدول العربية قدمت إيه للعالم؟ ولا حاجة. الدول الإسلامية أو مطلق الدول قدمت إيه للعالم؟ ولا حاجة. قدمت إيه في البحث العلمي؟ قدمت 2 3 4 10 علماء في 1435 سنة يا راجل. طب بلاش دي، احنا هنطير ال 435 سنة وخلينا في ال1000 سنة. في 1000 سنة قدمت 10 علماء مهمين. اللي اخترع الطيارة جاي منين؟ الصاروخ، مكوك الفضائي، نظريات الطرد المركزي، ميكانيكا الكم، نظريات النسبية. مين؟ أهم فلاسفة مين؟ جايين منين؟ مش من عندنا. فانت عايزهم يحبونا احنا، في الاخر خالص هيبقى الدول التي ترعى الارهاب مثل بريطانيا تستحق لا تستحق ولا حاجه. البني ادم لا يستحق ان يقتل ولا يذبح ولا يدهس.
Hey people, see what I told you? Everybody, you can't paint every person with the same brush. I know what you see these Muslims doing over here, and I know what you see them doing in England, beating up everybody, talking about it's Allah's war. And I'm telling you right now, the real Muslims say Allah don't have nothing to do with all this mess that they keeping up all over the world. And so I just like to try to bring you all sides of the story. And I know you've all heard it said that the Muslim religion is the fastest growing religion. But you heard the other apostate tell you why. He said because they do incest. Each man got 4 or 5 wives, and all of them are their first cousin or some relatives. And if women go outside of them and have sex, and it's with somebody that's not a relative, that's when they get stoned to death or get the honor killing where they shoot you down or whatever, you know. So you need to know all sides of the story. So that's all for today on the Muslim. Just remember, not all Muslims want to carry on the foolishness that Omar and Talib and Jayapal want to do. And so today we're going to kind of wind up the show by talking about Justin Amash. Well, you've all heard about him. And this is why I tell you, don't vote straight party ticket. Because everybody there might not be of the party that you really want. You need to Google people, find out who they used to be and everything. That's how the Republicans got stuck with Justin Amash. And he came up and he voted against Donald Trump with the Democrats, saying that he should be impeached. And he doesn't have any more to impeach Donald Trump with than anybody else does, you know. So he abandoned his party. So watch this clip now of a meeting that they had after he did this, and you're going to hear a black man telling him off about doing that, and you're going to hear a white lady, she almost started crying because she was so disappointed that Justin Amash fooled the Republican Party and got in there and tried to start some stuff. That's why always vote down the line. Know who it is. Roll that clip on Justin.
President Trump has defined Democrats and Republicans pretty good. And from what I'm seeing for the black community and minorities is that Trump is good for America. And I wonder why the Republicans and Democrats are fighting him so much when he's doing such a good job. And you're demonizing him. You're demonizing him on something that you know is not true. It's just bewildering to me that you can treat the President of the United States in this way, especially when he's doing such a good job for the minorities and black people.
So, I suspect there will be a lot of people who disagree with you on that point. And nobody is demonizing him. I read a report and gave my assessment. And
I admit that I assumed that this was going to be more Republicans than Democrats when I came here. But so I'm a little more nervous than I would have been otherwise. But I would like to say that I think a lot of the people here that are cheering you and applauding your courage, most likely a lot of them didn't vote for you. I, on the other hand, have voted for you in every election since 2010. And in fact, I worked on your first campaign in 2010. I knocked on hundreds of doors for you. I made hundreds of cold calls for you, inviting people to your events to meet you. I made tons of personal phone calls to friends to vote you in when you were running against a bunch of other people, right? That was like your hardest election versus being an incumbent, in the last time you ran. So I was there for you from the very beginning. I'm not sure how many people applauding his courage were, but I would like to say since that time, I've changed my position on you. And you have spent the your job.
That's not my job. No,
sorry. I double checked online before I wrote that in my notes. So it is your job. It's on House.gov. You can read it yourself.
My job is to uphold the Constitution.
No, that's not what House.gov says.
That is my job.
That's not what those are not mutually exclusive. Do you realize that those are not mutually exclusive?
They can be.
Okay.
That's why our system is designed that way.
Not in the way that you've behaved. At first, okay, so you called for the nearly unprecedented step of impeachment. And at first you gave no reason. I read every single one of your tweets. And then when you were pressed, you finally gave a reason, and you came up with things like discussions of firings that never happened, rumors of recusal reversals that never happened, nobody reversed their recusal, and then made baseless claims about obstruction of justice, which I know that you discussed it before, but you have to have corrupt intent. So you have to prove that Trump knew that he was guilty of a crime and knowingly tried to obstruct justice based on that, okay? You don't have that. You don't have proof of corrupt intent. You don't.
That's not what the Mueller report says.
And you further know that impeachment would tear this country apart if it went through and he was removed from office. It would cause a political upheaval in this country people in this generation have never seen before, possible civil war. You rest safe in the knowledge that that will not happen, that he won't be removed from office. So you get to make the political grandstanding that raises your national profile. You are now a national household name. That's called political capital. And you are hoping to launch your star bigger and brighter than District 3. You just talked about how you did better in District 3 than Trump. Do you want to talk about how the last election you got the least amount of support that you ever have because you haven't supported the MAGA agenda? Now that's your right to do so, but it's your right to support whatever you want, but you also know that you have no future in this district because of that as a Republican. So you want to go bigger and brighter. And I have my final thing, my question is, why did you talk nothing about the FISA abuses? If you care about the Constitution so much, why didn't you say anything about the year-long violation of the Fourth Amendment rights of Trump and his entire transition team? Every phone call, every email, every personal conversation for a year was spied upon and recorded. And they had no knowledge. And you are laughing. You are laughing about a year-long spying on an entire team of people. Fourth Amendment's violated. And you didn't speak about it once. You didn't speak about the FISA abuses, which is currently under investigation. And you called A.J. Barr a liar without any proof.
Well, people, you see what I'm talking about? You see what I mean? Don't vote straight party ticket. You don't know who in there. And so I'm so happy that you came to be with us today. And I hope I didn't offend anyone, with what I had to say about reparations. So I'm going to read this to you from the Constitution. It says, no state or the United States shall make any claim for the loss or emancipation of any slave, but all such debts, obligation, claims shall be held illegal and void. So it's illegal for Congress to hold any hearings about this because we're not supposed to pay for the public. They can go and have a meeting at a restaurant where they pay for it, but they can't make us pay for it. And the reason is it was only a handful of businessmen who had the slavery going on, and the United States wasn't formed until a couple hundred years after they started bringing slaves, and it wasn't any states either. So those were businessmen. They had to make a business decision. The Indians and the Hispanics and all of them, all they wanted to do was war. You remember the 1812 War, the Spanish-American War? That was what it was all about. They just wanted to take over, and they didn't want to do any work. So they went to Africa, and those handful of men did not enslave anybody. Did you watch the May 23rd show when the young African-American and the young white guy brought you the new research that goes all the way back to the days of the Bible? And they told you who it is. They had to buy those slaves from the number one slavers, the Arabs, that's Rashida Tlaib, and the Muslim, that's Ilhan Omar. She's the one talking about the United States built America on the backs of slaves. But it wasn't the United States. It was those business people. And they had to buy the slaves from Omar people and Tlaib, the Arabs. They couldn't just go over there and say, I'm just going to beat up me a bunch of black people. No, they would have got killed. It was only a handful of them on those ships. They had to go to the slave leaders and be schooled in how to do the whippings, and how to set the chains. You saw all of that on the May 23rd show. Just go over about 10 minutes past the monologue and you'll see it. You'll see when we finally got film. The film didn't look all that great, but it was black and white and stuff. But you could see the Africans in chains with them things on their head, and you could see them being led by Arabs or the black tribal chief leaders. So technically, the white people went and they bought slaves. They couldn't just go there. I imagine a few of them might have sneaked around and got a few 10 or 20. But if you want to do some mass slavery, you had to go to the chiefs of the tribe and the Muslims, the Islams, and the Arabs. So that's what I got to say today. Yeah, they bought some slaves, but they didn't enslave them. They was already slaves. And as I told you about Museveni, he's the president of Uganda. He told President Clinton was trying to apologize for slavery. He said, I don't know what you're apologizing for. They better be glad that they got sold to the white people. Because he told them in no uncertain terms they would have been slaughtered. Even if they did all the work that they were supposed to do, they would have been slaughtered, as you saw last month on the May 23rd show. So that's what I got to say. You can't do reparations. It's never going to happen. And I'd like to show you a couple of pictures. Could you zoom in just a bit on some of the pictures? This was at the Ethics Committee. I didn't get a chance to show it to you earlier, because I'd be so busy. And you got that one. I think I have one more here. I think this one is at Rashida's office. Rashida and Omar got this one. I was right there pointing them out. Hey, gangster of the Constitution. I'm not afraid of them. I walk right up in their house and put out impeachment charges against them. So thank you very much for coming in today. It's Gangster of the Constitution on BGN signing off.